What's it called?
A New Country. It is not really that important, but that's what it's called. I was almost positive Kira thought she was applying for some couples wilderness reality show when she filled out our form. I saw the automated reply on her email, but if they hadn't called back, I don't think she would have mentioned it to me. I'm not usually one to snoop, but it's hard to resist something that's already up on the screen. We got called back fairly quick, only a week or so after I'd seen the email. When she told me about it, I told her I already knew. I was excited. Let's do the interview, I said. I was a little pissed that she'd even filled out the form without checking with me first. From what I'd read of the brochure, it seemed like a cult commune. We met with Dr. Newman in what looked like a family doctor's office. It had the same sterile, homey feel. Newman shook my hand, but he only said hello to Kira. I know that it made her nervous because when the two of us went to sit down, she remained standing for a moment, waiting to be acknowledged as an equal before sitting with us. Thank you for your time, he began. It was easy to imagine him as a somewhat reclusive person, practicing all this in front of a mirror, although I've gotten to know him a little better on the boat. Let me start by saying that I've already decided to allow you to come, pending a physical and criminal background check, of course. He made a rehearsed look towards me and winked. As for convincing you to do it, you'll have the opportunity to build your own house, however you want, and you can work together with the other people around you to decide how the community will be. He cleared his throat and seemed to be searching for another bullet point to discuss. He slid away from his desk in his rolling chair to fill a glass of water from a cooler. When he leaned over for the cup, I could see his belly underneath his polo t-shirt. It had stretch marks all over it, like a recently pregnant lady. Maybe from cosmetic surgery, or maybe a sudden and strict diet and exercise program. Around the office there were no pictures to compare him to, but for whatever reason he had suddenly started caring for his appearance. He was clean-shaven, had well-combed hair. His glasses were immaculately cleaned. If you choose to leave after the temporary contract expires, you will each be provided with $900 per month of your stay. That's net. None of the money will have been used to pay for any of your living expenses. You'll be expected to contribute work to the crops and to the preparation of some of the work group's meals. There will be a lot of work to do in the beginning, but after each month the workload will lighten some as the community is being set up. Personally, I've been looking forward to being in a place where there aren't any cars or factories or anything. The air is clean and the island is beautiful. I've got some pictures here, somewhere in my desk, illustrating some of the sights, one of which will do it, I said. Kira looked shocked. I admit I was being spiteful at first, but this sounded like something I'd wanted to do for a long time. You don't have to make your decision today, he said. Take these forms with you and we'll mail them to us by the end of the month if you decide to go. He specifically introduced himself as Dr. Newman. Later I found out that he had a PhD in English literature with a focus on creative writing. The stack of forms he handed me was kind of like a character sheet. It asked me to detail everything: my employment history, medical history, my education, my bank accounts, places I've lived, right down to the foods I ate and how often I ate them. Kira's stack of forms was twice as long. Both of us would have to get a physical. I get it, Nick, she said at her doctor's office. You don't like me looking into stuff like this, but you're taking it too far. You never do anything that requires going to the doctor. You're not changing your mind, are you? Was all I could say. I thought this is what you wanted. I think it'll be great for us, really, she said, but I wasn't sure who she was trying to convince. Now that I've been on the boat for a day, I've been served two of the meals I described on the forms. Kira's minus onions or anything spicy on another plate. Kira has been quiet from the moment we stepped on the boat. She picked at her first meal some, and she had eaten some fruit from the lounge, but other than that she didn't seem to have an appetite. I wanted to give her some space at first, so I wandered around the boat. It was obviously a former cargo ship that had cabins built in the hold. A large portion of the hold was still reserved for lumber and nails and other building materials we'd used to build our houses. I tried to think about the last time I'd hammered a nail into anything, but my mind was drawing a blank. I had been in a shop class in middle school, but I elected to go with theater instead because of the girls. Out on the deck, I saw Dr. Newman. He was standing at the edge of the boat looking out over the water. "Oh, hey, what was your name again?" he asked when he realized I was looking at him. "It's Nick." "Right, so how do you like the ship?" "It's bigger than I thought it would be." "How many people are on board?" "There are about 250 people. Some I hired to help with the boat, but I think several of them have actually decided to stay when we arrived at the island." I struggled for a way to make small talk. "Are you going back to the U.S. after we get there?" "Unfortunately, but I'll be back in 3 months, I hope. I'm going to try and get some more people to come out with us because we still have so much space left. What's all this for anyway? He sighed. It's hard to explain, I guess. I had a lot of health problems recently. I nearly died. I was already pretty well off, but I came to a lot of money and didn't know what to do with it all. I guess I was just looking to get away and give some other people the same opportunity. Just like that? I said. Standing so close to the edge of the boat, I could see how it moved with the ocean, and it made me a little nauseous, how much we moved up and down, over and under the horizon. Dr. Newman was also lost in the view of the ocean. He finally answered me. Well, there's a lot of legal stuff I had to look into. That's what all the paperwork's about. But once we've weeded out everyone that truly wants to stay, I'll be right where I want to be. Why let the rest of the world's problems bother us when we've never been allowed to do anything about them, right? I was totally lost, but I liked his attitude. He wasn't a philanthropist by any means, but he didn't claim to be. He was just trying to surround himself with people more like him. I stayed to chat with him a while. I told him about being a banker who wanted to open a restaurant, and he told me about being a publisher who wanted to write. Before long, we parted ways, friends, soon to be neighbors, because as it turned out, our assigned lot was right by his almost complete house. I made my way back to our cabin around dinner time. The cabin is slightly smaller in size than a cheap motel room. There is a love seat, a small table with 2 chairs, and a full-sized bed. Kira is on the bed while I'm sitting at the table, waiting for her to join me. What's wrong? Things are going to be great, I assured her for the 100th time. Every time I tried to engage her about the trip before we left, she is silent. It's been like trying to pry open a tin can. I'm just so nervous. It's too late to turn back now, and I hate that feeling. I get out of my chair and sit with her on the bed. It doesn't have to be forever, and we'll be making all that money that we can't spend. How can you say that? You've never felt this way before. Any other time I brought up kids, you said I was irresponsible. Who brought up kids? What are you talking about? I'm talking about the kid we're supposed to have as soon as we get to the island. The whole reason we're here. What do you think I'm talking about? There's going to be kids there? What are we supposed to be, foster parents or something? I don't remember saying anything about that. I can't believe you didn't know this. The ad I responded to, it was for couples ready to have their first kid. This is coming out of nowhere. The doctor's appointment I had was to make sure I was fit and capable to have a child. I silently damned myself for not looking at the ad or even at the pamphlets. They didn't check me for that. That doesn't matter to them because they can always find a donor. There's no way we're having a kid from a donor. Kira pauses, trying to meet my eyes. But if it's from you, that's okay. When she looks at me, she can see inside me. Something I've been able to do with lots of women, but none of them have been able to do with me. This is why I love her. I have to keep a clear aim about this. It's too late to turn back, so I need to show Kira that I'm not having second thoughts just because of this small hiccup in the plan. Yeah, I'm ready to do this right now. I push her down into her pillow and jump on her. Kira pushes me away. We can't now. We have to wait until we're off the boat. They were very clear about that. I disagree about them being very clear about anything. The doctor was very specific. That's why we haven't had sex since the doctor's visit. Really? I hadn't noticed. I thought we were following the standard schedule of once every 3 months. It has not been that long, Kira insists, but she is smiling now, something I haven't seen much of this last week. Yes, it has. Look, I marked it in my planner. I bring my planner out from my backpack by the bed. Oh my God, you're such an asshole. Hey, don't call me an asshole. I'm going to be the father of your child. We should at least practice this baby making real quick. I push her down once again, and she pushes me away. Nick, they were really clear on this. The baby has to be conceived on the island. Insurance reasons or something, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that we're going to an island completely liberated from any need for insurance, but I'm going to drop it. Alright, come eat this personalized meal while it's still not cold. Is it personalized? I get up first and pull her tray out at the table for her. It's exactly like something I described in the food form, and yours is too, only without the onions and the hot peppers. You filled out a food for me? You filled out a food form for me? She asks, smiling. The inside of my chest feels strange as I sit opposite Kira. It's the same feeling I had in high school when I thought my girlfriend was pregnant. But this is an anxiety for something that is yet to be. I still have to get her there, no turning back now. There are still 4 more days left on the boat before we arrive. I should look around the boat some more after I eat. I need to see who my neighbors are going to be. I'm hoping that the people at the site who've been assigned will be interested in building an outdoor amphitheater for fiction and musical performances. Maybe 1-act plays. That would be a fun place for a family to go. And I knew that I was going to build a nice brick oven outside my house and cook for anyone that wanted to come by. Since Kira and I have been together, she has twice asked me about kids. Both times I couldn't bring myself to say that I ever wanted them. Where would we live? Who would our kid grow up around? In college, I had a neighbor that was a talented keyboard player, but no one else in the neighborhood knew that about him. We both lived alone, and he had just moved to town when I met him. Sometimes I would go by his house and listen to him practice after school or work. I'd bring beer, and sometimes I'd make us dinner. One time he told me that I was the kind of neighbor he hoped to have when he had a family of his own. He also told me one time that he made his own shoes. He gave me a pair, and it finally wore out sometimes before I moved in with Kira. Thank you.